This web page is relatively easy to use. It's very user-friendly, so if you just go down the list, you type in your first name, your last name, choose what sport you want to play based on radio buttons, choose what sex you are based on radio buttons, enter your team name, you click on whatever meal you would like, and your price is adjusted accordingly, and you enter your hometown. Then all you need to do is hit submit player, and when you've submitted enough players, then you have entered your team. So going from the top to the bottom here of the code, we have our established variables right at the front here, and that's being shown. And we have a function load set, which sets the text area to be unusable by the user. Finish line is simply something I've had to put to append at the very end of the line so I can reset, and each player has their own line in the text area. Collect coach just collects all the information. It changes the coach count so we can adjust the calculation later. And adds coach to the very end there, as we can see. Player does the same thing as collect coach, but does nothing with coach count or talk about coaches. And general collection is just, well, it's the same thing as player, except for it has finish line at the end. Okay, just moving on, we have append, which is what I've used. It's the function I've used to create the words in the text area. It just retrieves whatever I'd want to put in there, and it adds it to what is already in there. Collect home retrieves the user's hometown. Collect names retrieves the user's names. Collect meal goes to the radio buttons and collects the meal. Collect sport goes to the radio buttons and collects sport. Collect sex decides what gender they are based on radio button input. And function collect team. Now this one is a big one. At the start we check to see if a team has been entered. If not, it just accepts whatever the user input. If it hasn't, then it goes to see if the name has already been put in, and if so, it changes the team, if the team's registered based on Boolean value, either 1 or 0. So if it hasn't been registered, it asks the user if it would like to add a new team, and if so, I have confirm here, which helps out a lot. So if they say yes, we add the team, and if they say no, then we just have this function here that is undefined that just stops everything, so we don't have to go through everything else and have it all written as is in those ones up there. Definitely the first milestone that I completed was figuring out how to add a function that allowed me to check what teams had been previously entered and to check that against other teams to make sure you weren't entering a wrong team. So that was definitely a helpful thing to have. Another good milestone that I set and achieved was getting the loop function to work for checking the radio buttons values.